Hello friends, it's time to take up renal stone disease with completely a proactive approach. That means we're today looking at flexible ureteroscopy or retrograde intrarenal surgery, a revolution which has become a part of the evolution of mankind where man and machine took forward it to such high levels where we evolved with an evidence from where the experience has stood so tall that we have been able to match our own expectations and also match the expectations of the patients who wanted to make a change around. So, as a result of where we are moving today, we would like to look at the change which we have brought about. In a renal stone disease, the Hippocratic oath is I will not cut for the stone. That means I will leave it for the practitioners of the art. What does it mean? It sincerely means that the practitioners of the art have actually moved the subject to such high levels where we have brought about a change in the entire story. The change where we would always wait for the stone to fall down or the stone would fall down and then we would wake up is different from today's act of we taking it to the next level. We reaching the factory and clearing it before the stone can fall down. That means change is what you and I drive together with a technology and with a kind of advancement which can happen in the subject. Which means a change is one where we don't fail to negotiate the bend in the road. The bend in the road may be difficult. The bend in the road may be very steep or very acute, but we can bring about a change on that. In doing so, the evolution has been to thinking out of the box. The renal stone disease has been known to mankind since that point in time, where the stones would become silently very big or would fall down the ureter and would come down and would block the ureter anywhere. That means a sudden acute emergency where a stone would fall down the ureter and would block somewhere in the upper ureter, the mid ureter or the vesico-ureteric junction and would lead with the agony of discomfort on that side, maybe associated with vomiting, pain, fever and progressive discomfort where there could be hydroureter and obstruction. The days are gone and we are in a situation where we are looking at that evolution. So there was a point when non-invasive treatment was taking a huge seat in therapy where moderate sized stones, anything between 6 to 12 millimeters, could actually be fragmented or pulverized by the treatment which could bring about fragmentation of the stone in the kidneys, and then we would be at the mercy of this narrow ureter for the stones to fall down, the fragments to fall down and finally get a clearance of adequate levels, which could require one or multiple sessions. Remember, ESWL or lithotripsy is still a very important treatment as a non-invasive therapy for stones. But when we look forward to, man evolved into a state where we moved forward from a ureteroscopy in the ureter and ureteric locations where the stone was blocked to actually reach the factory or the kidney by a retrograde route all the way crossing the pelvic-ureteric junction and reaching the calyces. That was the era of semi-rigid ureteroscopes. Semi-rigid ureteroscopes still of the large size, which was anything between 10 to 12 French and beyond, where it would be difficult to always enter around, but we could reach. And that's where the mind of a man could look at a machine and probably think about removing these dark clouds. The dark clouds which were about an access, about the expectations to cover, about being able to really treat these patients was getting more and more difficult. Finally, when we arrived at a point in time where there is sunshine. What is the sunshine in retrograde intrarenal surgery or flexible ureteroscopy today? That means a flexible ureteroscope is one which gradually over a decade of work and decade of manufacturing by companies has taken it to such huge levels of miniaturization where we are able to access retrograde under anesthesia a ureter of 2 to 3 millimeters dimension which can be expanded where an access sheath helps us to access all the way up to the kidneys, reach each of these calyces, inspect the calyces, powder and pulverize the stones and then finally bring about a complete to near complete clearance of the stones. So that is a sunshine in the subject which was called as a renal stone disease, which means that we had just evolved with the experience that we have and the evidence that was gradually coming up with the work that was happening on the subject. We were stepping into the era of expectations, which means what got us here would never get us there unless we really thought out of the box, which actually meant that we could look at the entire work of 2 decades of retrograde intrarenal surgery to bring it about to a reality. Somebody dreamt about it and that dream has actually come to a reality, and that reality is what we are focusing today. In other words, urology as a specialty was gradually evolving. Evolution was to such wonderful levels where we looked at understanding the advancements happening, understanding the technologies which we had to acquire to make the specialty a really happening one, to make the subspecialty of minimal invasive urology a really capable one. For generations to come, artificial intelligence, miniaturization, various disposable scopes and digital kind of activity has brought that paradigm shift where we moved from real unknowns to real knowns. That means today we are at a point in time where we understand that we have evolved. We evolved to a point in time where we are looked at the experience that we have in our past. Our past is riddled with those large scopes which could not make a single entry, where we had the bent ureteroscopes making a difficult entry into the pelvic access system, and we felt very good about it. And finally, it could almost always be a two-stage procedure or one stage, putting a stent and then coming back always. Things have changed dramatically because it was the evidence that we had about the ureters being capable of dilatation, looking at giving RIRS that subspecialty place or a pedestal where we could have become a leader both with the mind that we had, the man behind the entire seat, and the machines that was created by companies which could take us to the next level. That means we were in an era, where we could get into disposables, where we could get into miniaturized and scopes which could do our job in almost certainly one single session. And finally, we could meet expectations both of ours and the patient in front. Our expectations were to be completely capable of reaching, conveniently able to pulverize the stones, bring about a clearance, and all of them above for both the patient who is a needy, who has a stone lurking and waiting to fall down, and probably bring about a change. So friends, from the era where we thought about and imagined RIRS to an era where we have revolutionized and revitalized ourselves, we have really come to a reality. We come to a point in time where we can actually completely clear a stone in one single go, and this can happen in any and every age group around. When I look at while the leaders were evolving, while the companies were preparing, while the engineers were actually working, and flexible ureteroscopy was actually getting a level where the patterns would gradually change, we really came to a level where we miniaturized. We miniaturized scopes to very narrow levels. That means the scope itself is very, very narrow and very slender. You can undergo that flexion and deflection, active and passive, to close to 270 degrees on both sides. The optics have become better. The scopes have become more disposable. The kind of costs that we have been able to contain today, we are able to look at being able to serve people from all strata of society. The scopes became more durable, at the same time being disposable. We were adding wonderful dimensions to the entire work that we had looked at as more of a preventive treatment or a prophylactic treatment. A treatment where we could look at how we could move to the next level. So while the pure disposables were actually walking in, they were coming in to help us out and to bring about activity of a sterilization issue which was always there. We were looking at the outer world and engineers from the outer world helping us with wonderful telescopes coming in around. We're looking at better accessories which could let us enter that with a finer kind of a basket and the guide wires and the laser fibers. The era was actually coming in where we were looking at evolving ourselves. We were also looking at access into the kidney without any trauma, and that access was through the access sheath. These access sheaths available of various sizes would actually prevent the ureteric injury beyond a dilatation. You could look at that we would enter the kidneys, and as we would enter each calyces, we would inspect the calyces. We would look at each of these calyces, identify the stones which are there, identify the Randall's plaques, identify the kind of anatomy which is internal, and that would help us to move to the next level. That means the access became much better because of an access sheath available, preventing a future trauma or the trauma of the operating procedure, preventing the continuous ongoing movement of the ureteroscope directly into it. So I think we've reached quite a wonderful level with this access sheath. While we looked at that, we always had to negotiate this pelvic-ureteric junction, which is a narrower location. Once we would enter the pelvic-ureteric junction, we would be into that large pelvis, and we could find stones sitting in the pelvis, sitting in the infundibulum and blocking the calyces, or calyceal stones, one or many. So entering the pelvic-ureteric junction by keeping the access sheath just below it, able to reach the pelvis with these miniaturized telescopes, and then flex ourselves into all locations to enter each of these rooms called the calyces, and then look at the calculi. Once the calculi were available, it was all about looking at using the accessories. Either it would grasp, or it would probably hold, or it would pulverize and probably move to the next location. So the inspection of each of these calyces, once we are using a flexible ureteroscope, is all about looking at how do we take it forward to the next level? That means we are looking at number one, identifying all the stones or one stone, looking at keeping them in the right location into a very favorable kind of a calyx by grasping them and bringing them from a lower calyx of an acute angle to an upper calyx. And as we move forward, we move to the next level of identifying and powdering and pulverizing them. In the era where we could never do a biopsy, we got in those biopsy forceps which could help us looking at those suspicious lesions or a patient of hematuria in which a CT IVU showed an isolated growth which could be biopsied very easily, accessing the system around. So the entire aspect of pulverizing the stone, pulverizing and making them a real popcorn powder, reaching there and looking at the larger fragments being retrieved so that you don't leave a large stone border other than a real powder is what we were looking at. And that has been actually achieved. In today, RIRS or flexible ureteroscopy, large stones, moderate sized stones, stones of anything between 6-8 millimeters to 10-15 millimeters have been easily powdered, pulverized and brought to a level where we can actually get a complete clearance on the go, or we could leave a real fine powder with a stents in situ which could help. The miniaturization of accessories, which are various kinds of baskets, help us to actually bring all of them out. So keeping an access sheath, not having a ureteric injury and making a change where we could look at this stone retrieval being almost complete is what has been aimed in retrograde intrarenal surgery. Friends, retrograde intrarenal surgery is an aspect where we enter the kidney, powder the stones, prevent the stones from becoming an emergency of falling down in the ureter and giving you an emergency. So isn't it a preventive surgery? Isn't it a prophylactic surgery? Possibly yes. You almost reach the factory where the enemy is being prepared. You powder and clear them completely, and in many ways you actually prevent a patient from an emergency arriving at midnight at wrong times and wrong hours, and that is what is retrograde intrarenal surgery all about, which means fragmenting them to a real small powder. You know, a stone itself cannot be dissolved, but once you powder and fragment them to real smithereens, it's possible that the dissolution mechanism gets better. So the fragmenting by a popcorn technique, where we actually powder them to a real small powder form all the time and leave a real powder except pick up some fragments or the larger fragments which you could then send for an analysis, helps us to actually complete the whole procedure. These procedures are limited in time when we look at that we could finish off them in 45 minutes or 1 hour. People have done bilateral RIRS in one session, which we have been doing at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. When we look at patients and we look at CT scans, we look at in an era today, very small stones where the worry is it could be forming a trouble to me later. In other words, imagine a patient who has got a stone disease which actually presents as an emergency or a ureteric colic. A stone falls down the ureter, causes pain, fever, vomiting, discomfort, bleeding, vomiting, everything, and finally the patient is admitted to the hospital in emergency. He undergoes a ureteroscopy and the stone is cleared and a stent is placed. A CT scan done months or years later shows that there are new onset stones happening, as you see in this slide, where there are calycial stones, which means that these stones could actually be cleared completely by entering the system and clearing them up. For example, if you have the right kidney, which shows you here the kind of multiple small stones, you may not necessarily require a puncture, though a mini PCNL is a great option in such case. You could actually enter and pulverize this stone to real small powder forms, and then you can leave a stent and pick up the larger fragments. In other words, you have cleared the stone and prevented the patient from an agony. So in today's world, patients do understand. They too tell us that we have cleared the stone which caused an emergency. We don't want another emergency happening. What is the way forward? So a urologist today is equipped, as we at Kokilaben Hospital look at RIRS as a preventive surgery, a surgery which could prevent a complication, a surgery of a disease process which could only become bigger. A stone left over there could only fall down and cause a ureteric colic, or could gradually grow and become bigger. So as a result of what we know, the access sheath has been a great leveler. Stones which have been blocked in the ureter for a long time can actually cause an injury in terms of a ureteric stricture. A ureteric stricture is a narrowing like any of the strictures in any of the tubes or the pipes, and this could happen as a result of a stone being long standing, not in the kidney, but has silently fallen down and causing a blockage. Like you see a ureteric stricture or a blockage in the left ureter. So our whole entire purpose is to look at how to prevent this aspect of not having an injury, not having a complication, not having a trouble around. When we find multiple stones of a kind sitting in ureters silently, which in this case is a papillary necrosis resulting in calcification of the outer shell, which finally becomes a stone, it is extremely important for us to wake up that we don't let such stones be there forever, causing pyelonephritis, recurrent pyelonephritis and trouble. So my understanding here is retrograde intrarenal surgery for stones, for calcified papillae, for inspecting the calyces, for looking at biopsies, for looking at this preventive surgery of picking up the calyceal stones, maybe powdering the Rundle's plaques which are looking threatening to fall down, are all aspects that we add to treatment. We also look at stones could be sitting very silently, like in a case of this, you could have an upper calyceal stone and a lower calyceal stone, not in one kidney, but in both the kidneys. And if you have such a situation where both the kidneys have got stones in calyces around, they're very silent till a point in time, one stone falls down. And as it falls down, it causes that colic and kind of situation of discomfort and agony and probably even sepsis, that one then demands that let all the stones be cleared, else I from one patient become 4 patients with 4 stones falling down at different points in time. So in today's world, friends, neither you as a patient or as an ambassador today to the subject or me would like to wait for the stones to come and fall down and cause trouble around. There are sometimes very complex and challenging cases where you actually find that these stones could be troublesome. So in today's world, all those who deal with stones, the society, where we are looking at more stone formation happening as a epidemiological phenomena, where water has almost disappeared for our diets, and we need to work very hard to look at improving our water intake across the day and night, keeping the urine dilute, looking at orange and lemon as being givers of citrate, which keep the urinary environment with high level of citrate, preventing calcium oxalate from joining together, dissolving the uric acid stones. Life comes to a full circle where we need to identify stones early. The early identification of stones can happen only when a sonography is done with a health checkup, or when we as stone formers, that we know that once a stone former happens to be a stone former all the time, pick up our evaluation activities and do a sonography once in 6 months or once in 1 year as demanded by the workup. In other words, if we do so, if we pick up stones early, the treatment is to bring about a minimally invasive treatment, which is a cure. And that's a wake-up call today. That means life comes to a full circle where we treat the disease before the disease becomes more deadly or probably becomes an emergency. In today's world, the understanding of this stone disease is a paradigm shift to what we were taught or what was the era in the past. In other words, the message is loud and clear that he who is a stone former and forms stones again and again and has got silent stones in the kidney can dance to his tunes, because we have changed the goalposts completely. We have come to a level where we can treat these patients wonderfully. We can cure them of a problem before the problem actually became a problem, while it's still lurking silently. In other words, it's time for us to wake up to a phenomena where a society or a patient says, I love my urologist. Friends, retrograde intrarenal surgery or flexible ureteroscopy actually came in being a lot by helping colleagues in various fraternities more than others. In other words, people who are from the airline industry or from the maritime industry, basically the pilots and the air hostesses, the sailors and the marine engineers, would actually be quarantined and would not be working on their profession when the stone would be in the kidney, because the stone could fall down and cause injuries. That was the era when there was no flexible ureteroscopy and we used to use semi-rigid ureteroscopes. So these were the kind of the population who would get lithotripsy with possibly incomplete clearance. Today, retrograde intrarenal surgery or flexible ureteroscopy actually has been expanded. It has been expanded to a level where we can go and reach every household home and say, if you have a kidney stone, don't wait for us. Because a kidney stone either will gradually grow and become big, which is one aspect of natural history. And the other aspect of natural history is the falling down, causing a ureteric colic, causing an injury, causing an obstruction, a fever, sepsis, which you don't want, which requires an untoward hospitalization towards the preparation, towards a therapy and a wake-up call. So, friends, they always say, I love my urologist, only because it is important for us to wake them up and understand that RIRS is the future. The future of stone disease is prevention, and the future of stone disease in treating in time. That means pulverizing, powdering and completely clearing up by a popcorn technique where the stones are cleared and powdered completely is what we look at, what our teachers teach, what the miniaturization and what the engineers have helped us with the kind of wonderful accessories we have, the kind of work that is happening in the country and abroad. I think a urologist today is equipped to reach out to you and treat your stones before they actually become a big trouble. Friends, uroandrology is a big time work. It's something where the miniaturization has helped us out. For example, a Make in India campaign helped us to make one of these instruments which is made from all over the world. When we look at the instruments which we use are those disposable and reusables. One of the disposables that we use today in our country and which is made in our country is a flexible ureteroscope of the kind which you know. Those fine miniaturized telescopes which help us enter your urinary system while you are under anesthesia for half an hour, 45 minutes. Lets us gradually walk into your body, all the way from the urethra to the bladder, and then reach all the way into the kidney. And when we reach into the kidney, we can flex ourselves to each location, enter there, and then finally reach the stones, pick it up, bring the stone and extract it completely, or if required, powder them to such small powder that they could actually be cleared on themselves. So in today's world, we are at a point in time where the newer telescopes, the disposable ones, sterilize on an aspect where you don't have a risk of getting infected, where you have got the best of the telescopes which almost necessarily allow you to enter through a virgin ureter, which are normally tight ureter, and be able to clear them completely. So I think we have arrived at a point in time where this awareness drive of making you understand that we can reach the kidney very safely, enter the kidney, reach the calyces one by one, look at and inspect about the diseases, most commonly the stone disease, which is a reason that could form again and again, powder them completely and clear them off. What good that you prevent an emergency in such situations which you have never thought of in the past. So we stand strong on the shoulders of giants who have been on both sides, on the sides of medicine or urology, on the sides of technology, and technology combined with the kind of work that we do in the operating theaters has helped patients achieve their dream. Retrograde intrarenal surgery is there to stay. It is all about using a proper size flexible ureteroscope, keeping you informed of what can be done and what could be done, and still a two-way session if the ureters are still very tight. When we reach the stone, we almost always pulverize, and a powder can walk out freely compared to a full solid stone which may not be able to walk out. Friends, therefore, it's time for us to wake up to an understanding that flexible ureteroscopy would help you prevent that kind of an injury which actually was happening in the past in terms of ureteric strictures, obstruction for a long time, irreversible kidney injuries around. And the flexible ureteroscopes made today are those scopes which actually help us out. While we're looking at that joint partnership, we also understand that India is shining everywhere today. It's shining only because you participate with your urologist across and make it happen to the best possible way. In this subject where today's mighty oak is yesterday's seed that actually has stood very tall, all these important things take time. Friends, as good thing takes time, good things also need to come to a close. Today, we live in an era of stress. We live in an era of innovations, an era of competitions. We also live in an era where we are looking at enormity of disease and disease presentations and the data. When all these are happening around, isn't it important for you and I to look forward to setting very high standards of care in urology? And that can only happen if we think out of the box. That means if we have defined ourselves that we can look at game changers, RIRS or flexible ureteroscopy is a great game changer. It helps you to identify and treat yourself before it could become a major trouble. So finally, coming to it, next time, if you look at stones in the kidney, if you look at small calyceal stones, if you look at recurrent kidney stones, if you look at stones which could have been there for quite some time, or look at moderate size stones which could be cleared around, you're looking at pilots, you're looking at air hostesses, you're looking at marine engineers, and why them? Why not looking at yourself and myself in the society where stone formation is not uncommon? It's an epidemiological disease. It is something where a stone would have a natural history of growth or a ureteric colic and possibly would be picked up in emergency or could be picked up in a health checkup. It is important, therefore, for us to understand and remember that RIRS is there. RIRS happens to be a game changer, something which could actually bring about a complete innovation to cure, because every life matters. Today we are talking about a life-saving, life-changing, life-modifying and a life-treating disease where we can look forward to taking it forward to the highest possible level. Friends, it is time for us to combine together, because no teamwork would exist and no teamwork would be a straight line unless we don't combine together. So for society today and for all those who watch this video, it is important that you are ambassadors of a subject which is called a stone disease, which is unfortunately common as a result of epidemiological phenomena, somewhere where we could combine together and take this awareness to very high levels. Friends, as I come to a close, I need to remind you that awareness is a need and awareness is a need today and always. It is important that the management is done best by your understanding, because your doctor will do what is best required for you. That means a dream teamwork between man and machine happens only when you reach your doctor in time. And finally, the implementation is always a challenge, because you have got that kind of a body, that kind of an anatomy where I want to safeguard everything and maintain the anatomy as good as possible. And therefore, flexible ureteroscope has actually helped us to reach locations which was never possible by our forefathers, by our teachers and beyond, because there was never that kind of a mindset or never that instrument available, though we always thought and dreamt about it. So today we live in an era where we are capable enough and conveniently able to solve problems and clear things out. It's only because we have evolved to a point in time where we can move it forward. Truly a challenge and a dream, a stone disease. It can best happen only when society combines with medical fraternity and make it happen. Stone disease is here to stay. It is important for us to, on one way, treat stones, other way to prevent stones. And prevention of stone is an aspect which we talk about, we make you aware, and we continue to make you aware of that. Thank you so much.